Are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Monday, March 2nd. We've got all the pieces put back into place. I'm here for Live Before Lock. Eric is here for Live Before Lock. Greg will be here for Live After Lock. We've got it set up once again. Light work on this slate, however. 4 games, some grossness out there that we are going to dig into. So buckle up, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman and at Eric Lindquist. What's going on, brother?
You stalled that so perfectly for me. I had to get this Tails thing out, this massively, ridiculously positive EV card that, it has like a 1% chance of hitting. But you know what, Josh? It should be like 0.3% chance of hitting. It is plus 27,000. And that's the kind of shit you should put $1 on over on Underdog. So fire that up for the people. Nukes is live over there if you were caring about such things. But hopefully you had a great weekend. It is DFS time.
It is DFS time. And I took a lap through this slate earlier today on the strategy show, and it looked better then than it does now. We've gotten a bit more news, so that didn't help us out. We've got 4 games today. They all lock at different times. 7 o'clock start, Rockets at the Wizards, and we're still waiting on a little bit there from the Wiz side. They're already a dumpster fire. Rockets are going to be without Jabari Smith for this one. Again, Boston and Milwaukee. Giannis allegedly playing today. Time undetermined, but he certainly makes everybody else on the Bucks look worse. 215 total on that game, not to mention. Jaylen Brown and Neemias Queta both out for the Celtics. Then we head to Denver and Utah with a 243 total or something in that neighborhood, last I refreshed. No Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson, Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones on the Denver side. Jazz are actually, it's really just like Kevin Love, and then the other guys are just out for the season. And then late night hammer, another 216 total, 10 o'clock start. Clippers, Warriors, no John Collins for the Clips. No Butler, Porzingis, Curry, Will Richard. We got a weird one here today because $12,500 Nikola Jokic, the most expensive guy on the slate by quite a bit, is also the highest owned guy on the slate. Yuck, man. Now, don't get me wrong. I love roster and Jokic, but I'd prefer that this was not the case.
I would agree. It's insane on a 4-gamer. The problem is he's playing the Jazz. Like yesterday was a 3-gamer with Denver. And I think that's the first time in a long time that I've just been like massively underweight to Nikola Jokic. He was 12-5 for yesterday's slate, and it was a really tough spot. He ends up putting up 70 and burning me, so it didn't matter. But like the whole point is, like, Jokic is 12-5, and we have value now that makes sense, mid-range value that we don't have to go up to the tippy top. He fits into lineups so easy today, and it's annoying. It is what it is. This is really what it comes down to. Like, if you're building one lineup, he's not the piece that I want to get different with today. Like, he's just not that guy on this specific slate. As you start increasing this, we've got a lot of blowout potential on this slate that kind of makes it fun from a game theory perspective. I'm playing 20 lineups, so like I'll be able to hand edit a couple here, a couple there. We're still waiting on an Anthony Gill tag where they could not be starting anybody other than Julian Reese out there for Washington at the center position. That would be a wild time to be looking at, Josh, where they have nobody else on the roster that can play center outside of like Will Riley. Does that count? But like,
I mean, they don't have anybody that can play center even when they're at largely full strength.
Yeah, it's so
it doesn't take long.
So the point is, like, there's going to be some potential positional things where maybe we can find ways away, but he's the best play on the slate. He's projected. He could fail, put up 55 and score the most fantasy points on the slate. Like, there's just so many ways for him to work out. We have him at 63% optimal. He's about appropriately owned. So like yesterday, I'm not even going to say I tried to get cute. Like the Sims didn't show up a ton with him. Not as much as today, obviously, but I do like the idea of getting away from 63% Jokic as you get to like the full 20 max type.
Yeah, he just looks preposterous today. He's projected for 20 more fantasy points than anybody else on the slate. Now, obviously, there's a $3,000 gap between him and Kawhi Leonard. It was smaller earlier today, but now Giannis is sort of here. Let's get that out of the way right now. I can't see a single scenario where you can even think about Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's just not going to play the minutes that matter. Now, is Giannis Antetokounmpo capable of putting up 60 fantasy points in 23 minutes? He is. Don't worry about that. Just skip it. Just skip him.
And he's playing Boston, the slowest team in the NBA. Like, there's no planet where I'd be clicking on him. He'd need to go like 2.5 fantasy points per minute, which, again, you said, Giannis can do that. The number of things you have to get right around him still at that kind of a number, and the amount of failure you'd need out of Jokic and Kawhi and Şengün, it's an unnecessary risk to take.
Yeah, like he's 6% to hit his boom score. And it's like, all right, I could see it. Every once in a while, he's just going to go bananas because he knows he's on a minutes limit. But then you still need your other 7 guys to be the best plays that you could get for the day, and you're just putting yourself in a bad spot. So, as I was saying, Jokic, 20 fantasy points higher than anybody else on the slate. It gets even more extreme, though, when you go to the center spot, because it is still that 20-point drop-off to Şengün. And then it improved a bit because of Neemias Queta being out. He's 32 fantasy points ahead of the third center for today, which is Nikola Vucevic. That number was just lower earlier today, but even that is, the gap here is so large in raw points. I tried to explain this too on the show. Don't get married to what these, like, the columns say, but in our data, Jokic's floor is higher than Şengün's ceiling.
Correct. That's what's
that's not a real thing, everybody. It's just optics for like standard deviations and stuff. It's just meant to give you some eyeball numbers, but it's funny to see that.
So what happens when Anthony Hill's out and Julian Reese is starting at a flat 3K? Like, these are the kind of things that I've been thinking about today, because it's a 4-game slate. That's the first one right off the bat. I don't know how many minutes this guy can get to. This is just me thinking out loud and trying to like figure out ways. But then I probably just play Jokic in the other center spot, because then it just becomes exponentially easier to get to him. Like a 3K guy who would play. I have no idea what our minutes would be on him. It's not like I've had to think about him from a prop perspective. It's not like I have any props to go gauge off of, but just saying, this is just one of those spots. And Washington plays tomorrow, for what it's worth. That's the other thing that's really, really annoying about this team. Like, they don't have any centers, and there's a 3K center guy, but then they play again tomorrow. So my guess is that they were just kind of like, Tristan, left thigh contusion, you're just going to play tomorrow, and we'll play Heel today. But now it's like, if Heel ends up sitting, I don't know. I just keep thinking about that specific spot where it's like a positional thing. He'd be 3K. Maybe we rerun it and it would trim into what we got for Jokic. But the fact of the matter is, like, Jokic is above and away the best, easiest, most accessible play that you can get to. We're going to have other centers that we can talk about, multiple of them on Boston. It's just one of those slates where I think in one lineup, you just click on him. We probably just save our time this segment. But like, with 50 minutes left in the show, like, I don't think you need me to tell you to play Jokic or not. It's just a question of, like, as you increase your lineups that you're putting into a given tournament, how you want to handle them. Right now, I'm at 45%. I'm all right with that. Like, that'd be an okay way to live my life.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think the next question is the like extra tricky question, because at least when let me double check it now first. When I was running optimals earlier today, we were getting a double payout. So we've got Jokic, we've got the Derek White as the second highest payout. So we can get back into the conversation. Not as extreme as I was expecting it to be, but we're good nevertheless. Jaylen Brown is gone. We've got a 25% owned Kawhi, a 20% owned Şengün, a 15% owned Durant, a 20% owned Jamal Murray. That's everybody that's there, as long as we're skipping Giannis like we should. And at this point, we're clearly skipping Kevin Porter Jr. like we should. Who stands out to you if you're doing either a no Jokic or potentially a double pay-up style lineup? Do you have a guy in that 4-man group there that you like?
Yeah, I like Kawhi. I mean, obviously they ended up
Yeah.
putting the absolute beating down in that second half against New Orleans where they didn't have to extend his minutes. We've seen routinely that they really don't go above 32 minutes on these back-to-backs for Kawhi Leonard. So there is kind of a ceiling there, but what's nice is he's under-owned as is. Like sitting at 27%, slight leverage going his direction. Same thing with Alper and Şengün, but all other things being equal, and they look pretty darn equal as plays relative to ownership, I will take the later game. I'll take the random news. I'll take the random pieces. I'll do all of that. And so right now, Kawhi's kind of the guy that I'm going to, has the shooting guard small forward rather than an Alper and Şengün, same number. I like Kevin Durant. I mean, his points prop has just kept dropping. Negative CLV in my life. Everybody likes to point out, and I myself being one of them, whenever you get CLV. Not looking like I'm getting CLV on 25.5, 24.5 Kevin Durant points today in Washington here, but that spread, it makes sense. Blowout potential. Şengün, Durant, probably not looking at a full allotment of minutes here relative to their workloads all season long. Durant's gone ballistic the last couple. And again, those kind of minutes probably not going to be found against Washington if you're up 25 in a fourth quarter. But Kawhi Leonard definitely the next in that grouping for me.
Okay. Yeah, it gets kind of tough because there's a clear delineation of all these things. Like Şengün and Durant, I'm certainly interested in. The matchup, fantastic. You know, technically neither one, like you could play Şengün at power forward, you could have Durant at small forward. There's no real crazy overlap against Jokic, but you're locking it in early.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Kawhi and it's like, okay, that's a real game, or at least more of a real game than some of the other stuff we have. He's 9,500, a little bit more expensive. Ownership's already there, but I like Kawhi. You naturally get there because you look at it and you're like, well, I can't play Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic against the Utah Jazz. Do you think that pairing is going to be under-owned because of the matchup?
I've thought about it, and I've thought about playing the two of them together in a lot of lineups. I mean, this is a small slate. This is a 4-game slate, so I rarely bring up, situational like, oh, well, this spread, that spread, or what. I do think playing the two of them together does make some sense in some game scripts. I also think Capella's kind of a sneaky option. I know he's at 11.5 PRA, and we have a million centers to be looking at, but like a fourth corner of Clint Capella, a spoiler alert, Deuce Newts. It's got Clint Capella double-double, which on Underdog right now is like plus 1740 with the new adjustments that they have. It's beating the market by a little bit. Baylor Shireman, the other guy that I'm kind of looking at as far as like beating the market out in the double-double on Underdog by a mile. Those are small plays with very small chances of hitting, but the EV on them is out of control today, each specifically just for what those situations can be. So I like playing neither of them in specific lineups. I like playing both of them in specific lineups. And, if I'm going to get away from those Jokic type builds, I do like the idea that it stays somewhat competitive. We get 34 minutes of both Şengün and Durant, and things can really break your direction there. You'll have some early information. You can't play all three of them together, really. That's kind of the way that goes. But I'm surely looking at a center position where with Vooch and Garza, with other guys going their direction, I'm saying it is extremely, extremely unlikely that it works out for you. Shibwe could end up getting a start for what it's worth. There's a lot of fuckery that could occur in Utah. And we have a very low minutes projection on him, Kyle Filipowski, that is. So I think there's some different things that can kind of be educated stands you take that aren't the dumbest thing on this 4-gamer, and one of them being playing them both together, playing them both independent.
I kind of like Joval on a day like today when it's really dumb.
Joval. Love him.
Not really all that owned. Much more reasonable boom score than like Shibwe, Capella even. He's knocking on the door of Luka Garza, who's 3 times as owned for a couple extra percentage points of boom. The problem for Joval is that like he doesn't have to soak up minutes. Like anybody other than Jokic could get more than the 13.4 that Joval is expected to play. That's sort of the downside.
Yeah. Well, and there's Day'Ron Holmes that could get like the extreme 30-point blowout. So there's that. But the nice thing with Joval and why it is that I keep landing on him, I have him in 20% of lineups. One, it's just leverage off of Jokic, where it kind of stays in that realm where it's like, all right, Joval's the reason that they shut it down. He's done that in a couple of games recently where he kind of just like gets out there in the beginning of the fourth quarter. They put the foot on the neck, and they don't really need to bring Joker back until like the 5-minute mark. He plays a minute and comes back off and thinks about horses. Like, that's really Jonas Valanciunas here of late. So like, I love him at 3,500 because he's a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy against the Jazz. And well, who wouldn't like to go up against the Jazz front court in its current iteration and just bash their heads in like it's American History X? So like, I don't know what to tell you. There's just so much goodness for us to mine out of like center to try to get extremely different. And then you've got Garza and Vooch, which I want to get your opinion about, because like Vooch might be like, I don't know. If he ends up 36%, I'd be a little surprised. As long as he's starting, how do people not like Vooch today? Like, how do you not click on Vooch in a bunch of lineups?
It's a weird spot today for Boston between those two dudes. I feel like you want to have one of them pretty regularly, more regularly than what we're showing here. I mean, probably as regularly as the optimal is showing in comparison to the ownership. They're both showing with a little bit of positive leverage, and I think that makes sense. They seem underrepresented for what this is. You know, we've got Vooch in for just shy of 30 minutes. We've got Luka Garza in for just shy of 19. We're, basically expecting these guys to split all of the center minutes for Boston tonight. Mm-hmm. But I think that could just as easily be 24-24 on a day like today. Like, I like Garza more. I think there's a lot more upside in Garza than there is in Vooch. Okay. But I also think that Vooch is just like gonna likely play more and just be a normal center.
Yeah, I think you're just talking relative to the price tag, right? 3,300. Like,
yeah.
There's more upside for him just because he's 3,300 and Vooch actually has to put up a score for you. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, like Vooch isn't going to accidentally get 38 minutes, but Luka Garza could accidentally get 28 minutes.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, like the right tail on Vooch's minutes, it'd be very unlikely for him to get to the 34, 35 round. Like that, right. I would agree with that. Garza could very easily get to a 28. Yeah, I see what you're saying there for sure. And relative to the price tag, Garza's a good fantasy producer when he's out there. There's no question. There's no question whatsoever that Garza can get you a bucket. That was never the issue in Minnesota with him being on that roster. And I do miss him for those little blips in time. But yeah, the old defense thing is a little bit problematic. But yeah, we got to like Vooch today. I just keep running the Sims and getting tons of Vooch. So that's kind of really what I'm looking at. I like the idea of maybe slight negative boost to Vooch, slight positive boost to Garza, calling it a day there. But yeah, the Jonas Valanciunas shout out is kind of what I've been staring at all day. Him and Clint Capella, just these extreme blowouts where nobody's playing them. And obviously we have a couple more minutes going to Jonas Valanciunas' direction. But yeah, I'm kind of on board with like trying to take some of these extreme looks. And obviously if I'm playing Jokic in less than half of lineups, you best believe I'm doing that and just getting the other three studs in a lot of those lineups.
Speaking of studs, you can bet on NBA studs and NHL studs using the new prop tools at Stokastic.com, and you can bundle them together, NBA and NHL, and get 50% off the combination of the two. Again, the promo code is bundle. The link is in the description. We'll be sharing the props tool on the screen at some point in time, likely right after we get an update, or realistically, we could even do it right now. There hasn't been any crazy news on a 4-gamer. You will also get Greg Ehrenberg taking a peek at this tool for live after lock, because he will be here at 7 o'clock, dropping some bets, looking for some plays, potential late swaps. It's all here. But I recommend you guys sign up using the link in the description. The props tools are sick. I love the customization that you can do. That was a tough word to get out for me in that rant that I was going on. But the fact that you can get in there and change rates, change minutes, really get your hands dirty if you want, or just rely on the market pricing that we have and our projections. You can do that too. It's up to you. But what you really need to do is click that link, promo code BUNDLE. It's a bundle of fun, right?
It's a bundle of fun. Obviously, I've been sharing it a bunch over on the live stream on the Odd Chopper YouTube channel. Been doing that a lot for the Pick'em people, talking through. Underdog did us a massive favor in Pick'em. Whether you're in a state that just is exclusively sports betting or playing pick'em, where you have champions, you have the actual pick'em style. With underdogs switching to plus 250 for a 2-pick, plus 550 for a 3-pick, the amount of value that we now have is unbelievable. I've been having an absolute blast. It's been very profitable doing this the last few days. I'm going to keep doing it here as long as they keep having that up and people are enjoying it. So I've been utilizing the tools a lot in those streets. And I will say they work. They also allow for you to kind of put your own minute spin on some things. And if you've got an idea of what direction Kyle Filipowski's minutes are going to go, you're going to have yourself a good old time in the old props tool today, because I sure did. From a DFS perspective, a lot less necessary considering his price tag, but just thought I'd bring him up specifically.
Where do you want to head now? Is there anything standing out in the Sims that you're running that you want to dig into here? Because there's definitely a extended value conversation that we could probably get into, but we're going to have to hitch some time to that because there's a sea of it.
Yeah, let's start with Houston. They're the first game right off the bat. I'm sure people are kind of interested to talk about that. Reed Shepherd didn't fail anybody the other day. Reed Shepherd is a guy who gets kind of the best of both worlds here because he's going to start. He also can very easily close these kind of games where they're up by 20. And considering where that spread is sitting at, considering where his ownership's at, looks pretty good, right? But the main thing that I'm kind of having an issue with his current ownership is if you get Gary Payton out, I don't think Steve Kerr is going to go crazy with these minutes. We have Will Richard out as well. Like Pat Spencer, even off the bench, Brandon Pajemski, like these guys are going to go under-owned relative to what they should, I believe. Like Gary Payton, he's somebody who's been a rotational piece there, but like they're kind of thin on guards. Like what are those minutes for the Golden State guys relative to like a Reed Shepherd? Because Reed Shepherd is 61 and change % owned. And I guess I'm kind of like, hey, let's talk about Houston. And now I'm like, hey, let's talk about Golden State. But it's just like what news can break that can change the slate to some extent, where you can find small edges or big edges in some cases on a 4-gamer where ownership tends to be a little bit more accentuated. It tends to be very, very condensed around the best plays. And there's just a part of me that wants to hit eject on Reed Shepherd in one lineup today. Like I think he's going to end up being the chalky guy that I don't end up playing. I just think there's enough ways for me to inherit some value that people really aren't keen to at the moment. It would appear they're not very keen to. Like Isaiah Collier, I think is a fascinating tournament play again. That shouldn't surprise anybody. He played the most minutes of any Utah Jazz guy the other night. And then obviously Golden State. Pajemski has been starting. They're coming off of a massive blowout loss against the Clippers. We've seen Steve Kerr how many times over the years just completely decimate his starting lineup as an overreaction for no other reason than to just screw with our brains. But with Chris Dunn in, it's not going to exist on the Clipper side as much. Darius Garland's still on a minutes limit. Jordan Miller, not really all that enticing with Kawhi Leonard still there, even though he looked awesome yesterday. I just kind of look at Golden State. I look at Isaiah Collier. I look at Jamal Murray, where if that game stays competitive, like there's really low-owned tournament targets that exist in that range. And it just feels like Reed Shepherd's one of those dudes who's just kind of getting slotted in to all of these lineups early as the main Houston piece. And I'm not sure that I want to be there for it.
That's scary.
Oh, yeah.
I get it. I get where you're coming from. Man, it's so anytime I see anybody playing the Wizards, I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. You should be owned out the ass. They just create all these dudes that whoop their shit on a day-to-day basis. But there are options today. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I've got this sorted right now by value, like points per dollar. And for a 4-game slate, a 3K Jalen Pickett is already 30% owned. A $3,200 Ron Harper is 50% owned. Then we get to Reed Shepherd as the third best point per dollar play. We kind of have a line in the sand there. Those 3 guys are the best, and there's a pretty big gap before we start to fall. We see Vooch. We get a $4,300 Baylor Shireman, who's 25% owned. We start to come down a little bit further, and then we start talking Luka Garza, Sharif Cooper, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway. And like, I can see the scenario where you just want to offload a little bit of that Reed Shepherd to other guys in that range that haven't taken on the extreme ownership like he has. Because even somebody like Pickett at the flat 3K, like, I don't love that dude. He's a 0.8 guy today. And then you look at Harper as a 0.7 guy today. Like, oh, is Reed Shepherd the guy you like the least of those top 3 value plays?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, I didn't bring the Boston guys up because we're all playing them anyway. Like, we're going to be rotating around. Like, I like Pritchard, but maybe a little bit over-owned at the moment. I like Derek White, a little under-owned at the moment. We've kind of seen that because of where their price tags tend to be, where people are less inclined to, eat Derek White chalk, more inclined to play Peyton Pritchard for the discount and go along with their lives. But, like, I like both of them. I was just talking about, like, way off the board options to potentially get ourselves onto some different looks with chalk that I think looks pretty decent. Like, again, I probably like Vooch a little bit more. You've kind of talked me into maybe trimming a little bit of that and turning more of it into Garza. Talked about Jokic trimming it down, but like I'm looking at a pretty aggressive stand against in 20 max right now of playing like I might play less than half the field of Reed Shepherd purely because it just feels like he's the one piece of Houston that everybody is clicking. It's more of an ownership thing where we know he's starting with Jabari Smith out. We know that he can close even in games that they're up 20, but like that's really brought his ownership up to a place where if he starts showing up in 65% of lineups, I just think there's so many other guards that we can rotate through. And center, it's obviously a very stacked position, but like I'm kind of making an aggressive thing on Jokic just to even get to 45% as opposed to the 65% that's going to show up in lineups. Plus his raw fantasy points, I can't give up in that many. So like, it just feels as though Reed Shepherd, his ownership doesn't have anywhere to go but up. And I don't feel that way with some of the other pieces. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'll obviously be able to adjust to that after the first game.
So just so I'm clear here, you are a little light on Jokic and light on Shepherd?
Way light on Shepherd. Yeah, 20% right now.
Okay. Who is the chalk that you're not light on then? We've got Ron Harper, Will Riley, Peyton Pritchard, Vooch, and Derek White, all 40 to 50% owned. I assume you've got a little bit more of one of those dudes.
Yeah, I have a ton of Will Riley. An egregious amount of Will Riley. If we have something happen to Gill, I assume that he could be like your starting center if they don't want to go to Julian Reese. Because again, Julian Reese is a dude off the street, but he's an actual center. I would assume he would get the start, but like that's still a piece of news that we're waiting on. Like we're still actually waiting on something that impacts your lineups because you could have a 3K starting center to talk about that I really don't know what I would do until we had some of our stuff updated. But these are the kind of spots with Washington playing tomorrow. We've seen this a number of times where Will Riley will just play a boatload of minutes on the front end, like a boatload of minutes. Right now, there's a number of places where he's upwards. I mean, we have him at 31 minutes. I mean, this is just insane how much of him I have at small forward, power forward, which I find to be kind of a difficult spot. Like small forward in general is kind of gross on most of these slates. Quiet, you can play shooting guard, I guess, but most people are playing the Reed Shepherd piece. Most people are playing Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, whatever. But I think Will Riley, even though he's not starting there, he's just so easy to fit into lineups. And I feel better about his minutes than anybody else on Washington because he's routinely been the guy who's gotten them. Everybody else gets completely sent by the wayside, and getting some fourth quarter mop-up duty would be very useful for him here in this spot. Peyton Pritchard, I'm all right with, but I have more of the Derek White piece. And then Jalen Pickett, I have eternal amounts of. Okay. I have 65% Jalen Pickett at the moment. That can change.
Okay.
He doesn't have to start. It could end up being like this Bruce Brown fuckery or something, but like we've seen it a number of times where Jalen Pickett gets like a spot start here, absent one of the main pieces. And like Cam Johnson,
Anthony Gill is out.
Here we go. Oh boy.
Speaking of, did you know that Julian Reese is Angel Reese's brother?
No, I did not. Can he shoot?
Neither did I until I typed his name in. But I don't know. But I assume he's going to go like 1 for 11 with 7 offensive rebounds or something.
Do some of this when they're down 40. That was pretty cold of her. It was actually pretty funny back in the day. On Caitlin Clark, knowing the entire nation is probably going to hate you in that moment. I kind of have respect for like going full out villain on that. That was fun.
We are now about to remove 28.7 minutes from the Washington Wizards rotation from our boy Anthony Gill to
Will Riley.
Parts unknown, I guess. Yeah, if you liked Will Riley before, you undoubtedly like him slightly more now.
Slightly. I mean, I assume he's the most likely starter for what it's worth. Like, he's going to.
Dude, he's already 45% owned. I just mean like he's already the one that has been gotten to. The rest of this.
This is fun. This is really enjoyable. Who's having fun?
I'm very interested to see the minutes that we give to Julian Reese.
I said I have no idea what to do. Best of luck. Is it Rich? Is it who's on projection? Jason? Like you guys are doing the Lord's work because I really don't know what to do with him. I don't. If he starts, I assume we got to put him in for over 20. He's a starting center at the flat min. We don't get this.
Does Julian Reese look better or worse than Pickett does after this update?
It's going to look better.
I think they're going to be almost identical with worse positions for Reese.
Oh, well then.
The Wizards will start Carrington, Johnson, Koulibaly, George, and Julian Reese. Rockets will start Thompson, Shepard, Eason, Durant, Şengün. Obviously, not that crazy. Look, you give him 24 minutes. We got him in at 0.82 fantasy points per minute. 24 minutes at 0.82 is 19.68 fantasy points. At 3K, that's 6.56x his salary. At this moment, we've got Jalen Pickett at 5.94. So if we do get to that minutes number, he will beat him by a bit. I expect them to be comparably owned if he's in and around those minutes, just because an MPE at the flat 3K is going to be different than a center with Jokic on this slate, no less. But he's going to look good.
What I meant is that he was going to project better from a fantasy point perspective.
Yeah.
I didn't mean positionally. I wasn't comparing the positions. I was just kind of looking at it that way, where it's like he's going to look better than Pickett. Pickett has to share a floor with Murray. Has to share a floor with, I don't know, Nikola Jokic seems important, but fuck, man. This is just disturbing. What a disturbing slate this just became.
Well, it did get really crazy. I would wait, but it's way more fun to nuke it out. It is nuke of the night time. We need to find the player that is going to go absolutely bonkers today. One last question. Is there any chance that Julian Reese this is some sort of like reverse Joanna Man situation?
What do you mean? I have no
This
idea
is Angel Reese attempting to reverse Joanna Man herself into the NBA.
Oh, that would be a great marketing move for Washington because what they're putting on the floor is not that great of a product as it is. 17 to 20 minutes of Trae Young is not going to change my mind on Thursday. Thanks so much, guys. So
who you got tonight? Nuke of the night, baby.
I mean, center just got even more ridiculous. So I'm not gonna go with the original game plan, which was Jonas Valanciunas, because he's like your path away from Jokic. But I don't know what I'm gonna do here with center, so I'll just go to the clear spot to me that I think makes me feel a little bit better than what the field currently has. Julian Strawther, shooting guard, small forward, going up against Utah. He has not played well here in the last few, but the equation's kind of changed on this back-to-back, and you get an opportunity for him to play the four, where, I mean, this Blake Hinson fellow is just a creative player, but Julian Strawther can go get you an absolute bucket. We have a slight amount of negative leverage, but shooting guard, small forward, gives him more positionality for later in the slate. And talked about liking Pickett, like him. I think there's just ways where Julian Strawther can find his upside. He treated us very well as Nuke of the Night once upon a time. I want to run it back. Would like to run it back big time. Plus, again, you could get a Bruce Brown situation. We can transfer some lineups around it and kind of make it work. I think Golden State's an interesting one. I was going to look at Pajemski or something of that nature, but I feel under 20% is where he's going to remain no matter what. Julian Strother, Nuke of the night.
Julian Reese, 21.6 minutes, 5.8x his salary. Your current highest point per dollar play for the Wizards is now Sharif Cooper, 3,600, point guard only, 5.94x, the same value as Jalen Pickett.
Fascinating. What a fun day. This is fun. We're having fun.
Yes. Jaden Hardy also taking a move up the point per dollar ladder, an $800 more expensive version of Jalen Pickett. Both have point guard, shooting guard eligibility.
Somebody threw this up. Where are the other center minutes going on Washington? Will Riley. Will Riley's going to play center.
Yeah.
Nobody? No center?
Yeah. They're not concerned with thinking, I hope we have 48 minutes of a guy that plays like it's just going to be the dude that is tasked with guarding the biggest guy on the other team at that time is the center in that moment.
It's like when I was when I was 13, 14 in South Dakota, and there was like always that 6'8", 6'9" farm kid that would just show up. And I'm the one guarding that 6'8", 6'9" farm kid today on the Washington side. There's no true center that you've got. It's going to be ridiculous.
Will Riley up to 47% ownership. Jokic still standing tall at 67%, which is a big, big number. Jalen Pickett's at 23. Sharif Cooper showing with some positive leverage right now. That'll probably flatten out a little bit in a second. I will give my nuke shortly, but I got to hit on a couple super chats here. Morgan hit us with this one earlier. I was sitting on it. Said, I swapped out Kada for Christie, lost by 12, AMA. I mean, people will probably enjoy that AMA considering you were seven figures to the good in 2025. Yeah. So I'm going to play the tiniest violin in the world for you, Morgan, for that one.
Zombieland.gif. Zombieland.gif.
Next up, KGDR24 FanDuel by position. Let's go through it. At the point guard spot on the FanDuel side, there are 3 guys breaking free. All 3 of these dudes have point guard, shooting guard eligibility, so take this however you want to. It's Derek White, it's Peyton Pritchard, it's Reed Shepherd. You are clearly rotating through those 3 main dudes at point guard and shooting guard. We have really positive leverage on DeAnthony Melton. Any thoughts on that?
Melton is one of my favorite tournament plays of the day as well. Golden State's like some of these Golden State guys, if you remove Gary Payton from the equation and you just like solidify a lot more minutes with Will Richard and him out, there's just a lot of opportunity. Plus, you push some of your lineups a little bit further back. I like the idea of him more than Reed Shepherd. I mean, it's not that I don't like Reed Shepherd. It's that everybody likes Reed Shepherd today. And I like pushing those lineups later.
At the shooting guard spot, I mentioned White, Pritchard, Shepherd here. The only other guy that sneaks in at shooting guard is Bruce Brown at 4K. He is also available at small forward. The 3rd most owned guy at small forward. That's also where we see Tari Eason. We get to Will Riley, both guys having small forward, power forward eligibility. And then there's another pack of like Julian Strother and Sam Hauser that are a bit further down. But Eason, Riley, Bruce Brown are the small forward dudes. Eason and Riley come for power forward as well. Did you have anything at small forward?
Strother, 3,900.
There you go. Power forward's going to be made up with Eason, Riley, and Alperen Şengün. Those are pretty clearly the 3 options at that spot. And then I doubt you guys will be surprised to hear that Nikola Jokic is the center option du jour on FanDuel, 65% owned, 58% optimal. You're probably going there. And if you're not, you're going to Nikola Vucevic. The 2 of those men are making up 87% of the ownership on FanDuel. But the answer is Jokic, just generically.
Yeah, Julian Reese, power forward, flatman on FanDuel. That's a little different. It's a little different.
Per Bramani Jones, Julian Reese is Jalen Smith with a shittier 3-point shot. I bet he's way shittier than Jalen Smith. If I had to guess.
A lot. That's my guess. One got paid money. One is I starting by default today.
So we worked our way through these. I can now hit my nuke of the night, which is not going to be all that difficult. I've already touched on it a little bit before. Updated data has brought him down quite a bit, which is depressing. Dude, the positive leverage on the Wizards right now is taking over. Wizard. Cooper, Reese, Champagny, Watkins, Koulibaly. My guy tumbled a bit, likely due to this Reese character. So I still love it, and I'm still going to go that direction. I want to talk about it some more.
Jonas.
It's not. It's Garza for me. It's Garza for me. 3,300 center only. You've got a bunch of guys on his island right now, whether it's Reese, whether it's Joval, whether it's Shibwe, whether it's Capella. But I think Garza has the most natural mechanism to getting additional time. One, he can just play well and they leave him out there. They're not, while they're very happy to have Nikola Vucevic, and I expect him to get more minutes, it's not like the Celtics are married to Nikola Vucevic. He is not deep in Celtics lore. They are both new dudes. They don't care who's playing well. They just want somebody to play well. If we have him in at 18.3 minutes, I think he's very live to get to like a 24-24 split in a game like this, or just soak up even more if the game goes tits up either direction. That's the benefit that I see for a guy that's 10% owned, 20% boom, typically somewhere in that like 0.95 fantasy point per minute range. I like the upside on Garza to get a bit different. My nuke of the night.
I like it. I mean, I like a lot of centers like everybody else, it would appear. A lot of like lower owned centers. As you said, his ownership came up a little bit there. It was like 11%, I think I just saw. But Garza, one other thing that he has going for him, he didn't play yesterday. Like, he's fresh. He's the one other Boston guy who just comes out, didn't step on the floor against Philly yesterday. So maybe gives him an opportunity to get a little bit more run. And maybe they want to keep Vooch on the bench, in which case you'll definitely see his ownership come up if he ends up in the starting unit. But just bringing up that that's not a far off idea.
This Wizards team, I guess we should probably filter to the Wizards right now, and we should reevaluate where we're at now that shit happened. Will Riley pacing everybody at 47% ownership. Sharif Cooper just north of 20. Jameer Watkins, Jaden Hardy both just under 20. And then Koulibaly, Champagny, and Reese all getting a little love. Trey Johnson, Bub Carrington, and Keyshawn George all getting no love whatsoever.
Outrageous. I mean,
anything sneaky there for you?
Oh, Julian Reese still. I mean, it's a flat 3K center that he just exists. It's just such a weird situation because they play again tomorrow, and we've seen routinely that they don't want to play anybody above like that 24 minutes threshold, 26 minutes threshold that's any good whatsoever. And then these other guys can just get unlimited run at the end, like Will Riley. We've seen that so many times now where even though he's 5,100 and even though he's very popular, he is definitely the Wizard I feel the best about out of anybody on the screen. But there's outrageously good tournament plays everywhere else if you're willing to embrace it, get early information, give up a lineup spot. I think that's probably where I think the Sharif Cooper one is probably my second favorite, purely because just it's showing out on the screen too. He's sub 25% owned. He's 3,600. So like your risk of ruin at 3,600 is not nearly what it is some of these other places. But yeah, these are guys that I'm updating the Sims. I can't imagine I'm not going to have a lot of them just scattered around random lineups here and there. So it is a wild slate purely because of their existence.
God, it's so gross.
What happened to all the Golden State? Like, are all the Golden State guys just unowned now? Like completely unowned? Like nothing coming in here?
Nobody higher than 15, and that's Draymond.
I kind of want to just boost Santos no matter what.
Yeah,
that's feels
the first
like
one that
dude,
I noticed.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about Gary Payton. Like, we're gonna get Al Horford, Pat Spencer, but posts, they haven't really played Jonathan Williams. Like, that's not really a thing. They've had the Leon's character come in and get like eat up rebounds here or there. It's just so dumb. They're just so
Kings
dumb.
of Leon's.
Yeah. Trying to think of a Kings of Leon song to make a joke, but I can't do it off the top of my head. That's sad. Can you?
Oh, yeah, I got one. Like every time your mom calls, my sex is on fire. It's not great, but it got me where I needed to be here. Yeah. As far as a joke goes, like it's not the best work that I've ever done. I only know one or two Kings of Leon songs, but the ability to have that one for this, I'll take what I can get. Yeah, you guys get it. You guys get it. It's the best that I could do. If I knew more of them, we would have been in great shape. But that was the one. If I could have got to a better joke with it, that would have made me happier. That said, you guys should play Guy Santos today. I think he's a little underrepresented for what this matchup is. Let's get back to some of these super chats, shall we? Balmer. Derek White. Oh my God, a 2v2 with those 2v2 in it. Derek White and either Bruce Brown or Strother, or Pritchard and Reed Shepherd. That's gotta be Pritchard and Reed Shepherd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be Pritchard and Reed Shepherd. Those two guys are just better options as a combination than the other two. Then Mastermind Magruder, 3,600 or less for utility and favorite play at each position for DraftKings, which is basically what the show is, but we got this. Favorite play, $3,600 or less.
It's Garza for you, I'm assuming. But, I don't want to be nice to you anymore, so you can...
Well, we're talking, yourself. I mean, that's like if I'm taking like a wild card option, sure. But like Ron Harper is 40% owned. Sharif Cooper's 34% optimal. I got to go to those guys first.
I'd agree.
Probably Sharif Cooper for me.
Yep.
Favorite play at each position for you on DraftKings. Floor is yours.
Don't talk about positions. Don't do it.
I mean, you're planting that seed in everybody's mind.
No, I'm not.
About positions.
My mother's lovely.
I'm planting a different seed altogether.
She didn't even call. I have my phone on silent, okay?
She hit the bat line like 5 minutes ago. I saw the phone light up. Anyway, favorite play at each position. This is very easy. Point guard for me is, in fact, Reed Shepherd. Do you have an alternate point guard?
Derek White.
Okay. Shooting guard.
Derek White. Peyton Pritchard.
It's going to be Pritchard there for me. Small forward, I know where you're going.
Will Riley.
Give me Watkins.
Okay.
Power forward.
Ron Harper Jr.
It's hard for me to not say Şengün, but like that makes the lineup pretty expensive. Center.
Julian Reese.
I want to say Garza, so I'm going to say Garza. Perfect. Got it. Perfect. Anywho, Amy, can y'all please give your tiers picks, please? Shit. All right, I need your help for this one. Bit's over. Fucking pull up tiers.
Okay.
Shit doesn't happen.
Put me in a bitch, Eric.
Yeah, this tiers doesn't happen fast enough for us to fuck around.
I got it. I'm fine.
I'm getting there too if I can.
They're like, okay, Eric, just quit. Just a little showmanship never hurt anybody from time to time.
Look, if it wasn't a tiers question, we could have kept doing this until 7 o'clock.
Shocker. Jokic by a mile, tier 1. Kawhi and Şengün, no thank you. Tier 2, Murray, Durant, Porter Jr., White, Collier, White. Definitely White.
Hold on. I'm gonna sort this by salary so I can like sort of look at this on the screen at the same time. Ooh, I should add tier indicators to this to make our lives easier.
What a great idea.
I wholeheartedly agree. Okay. Tier 2.
We gotta get
Murray, Durant.
We gotta get a work sesh on the old agenda this week. I didn't even think about that today. Need to do that. Tier 3. We got Thompson, Rollins, Pritchard, Mathurin, Podziemski, Filipowski. Definitely going to be Pritchard.
Yeah, that's Pritchard by
lots,
quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. This one,
I get the path for Amen Thompson there. If you're trying, like, if you already have more Boston somehow. Tier 4.
Vooch. I mean, I hate just 3 Boston guys right there, but it's the right 3 pieces there. I'm more inclined to play Pajemski in tier 3 than getting away from White in tier 2. Well, actually, that's not true because Kevin Durant exists. Yeah, just Vooch. Just play the Boston guys. I can't advise otherwise.
Tier 5. Bobby Portis. I mean, that's Reed Shepherd. It's Reed Shepherd.
By tons.
Yeah.
And I
forgot. I just don't even need to look at it. Tier 6. It's got to be Will Riley, right? Not even close.
Yeah. Will Riley. Not close. Like, it's not close. It's Will Riley by a lot.
Morgan says that I have officially broken you, Eric, which was correct until we needed to hurry up and do tiers.
Correct. Yeah.
If I would have noticed that it was 650, I thought it was. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Willie Jenkins says.
Do not disturb. I wised up.
Yeah,
in the week without Greg.
I have mine on Do Not Disturb as well, but you can set things that get through those, which I do. Sotex, member message for 45 months. Eric, don't forget to tell your mom Sotex says hi.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
45-month member message, and he used it to make a your mom joke to you. That's the best.
No.
Elijah Harkless, possible POD?
No. Play of the day? No, absolutely not. Like,
we got him in for 18 minutes.
Any planet.
0.4 optimal.
No. Far more inclined to play the Collier side. Far more inclined. Collier's 0.3% owned, but he led the team in minutes last time out. I'm just not going to play anything from Utah more than likely. I mean, they're just so expensive. Collier, 8,100. Filipowski's, 7,400? Like, just not playing these dudes today. We're just not doing it.
Nick Barrett. It's that song could never not be Stacy's mom. I ride hard for that track.
It's a banger track.
Saw them play it live, brother.
Did you really?
Yeah, 2004.
Wow.
And then everybody walked away from this. They played it first, and everybody was pumped to be at the stage. No. And then they started playing the rest of their stuff, and everybody gave 0 fucks and walked away and got beers and stuff. And they played it again, and everybody came back.
just a roundabout, the song that never ends. Just bring it back in some capacity. Makes sense.
It was a good time, man. It was a real good time. This slate is preposterous. So we actually got another projections and ownership update since we've been talking coming down this home stretch. Sharif Cooper, massive positive leverage. Nikola Vucevic, your second highest positive leverage play now. Şengün, your third highest positive leverage play. You get to Jameer Watkins, Bilal Coulibaly, Justin Champagnie, Jalen Pickett's picking up positive leverage. DeAnthony Melton picking up a bit of positive leverage. Do you care to guess who the biggest negative leverage plays are?
Will Riley's going to be up there, and yet I find Will Riley somewhat unavoidable. Now Julian Reese is starting to be there. I'm trimming his ownership. Like, I just had too much. I'm trimming this very, very quickly.
It'll be interesting to see what the Julian Reese ownership is. I think that's going to be wildly different in different contests.
Agreed. Looking at like the $4, the $1, very unlikely that he gets to 40, but maybe I'm crazy.
I would be very surprised if that happened.
Yeah.
Higher dollar stuff wouldn't shock me. And I could see that being like slightly different in some of that stuff too. Will Riley is going to just be highly owned by default.
Correct.
That's massive negative leverage, but he still looks like a great play.
It's just the positionality. I mean, you have Shireman, who's just shooting guard now. You have like a bunch of dudes where it doesn't necessarily matter as much. You got the multi for Kawhi. You got multi for a bunch of dudes. And yeah, small forward, the fact that he's got that to go with it, it's just really hard not to click on him. Oh, God, the Sharif Cooper. I just have so much of this guy. My God.
North Star, who are you trying to say is a cash play? Quentin Post?
You are.
Am I reading that correctly?
Please tell me you just did drugs. And
if I'm reading that correctly, you should have to wear mittens before these shows so your fingers can't touch the keys. Because they shouldn't be allowed to touch the individual keys. Just smash them.
So good.
Just smash them. Guru fan, member for 51 months. Top pay-up option on FanDuel other than Nikola Jokic.
Kawhi Leonard.
Alperen Şengün.
Okay.
I have no qualms with your Kawhi Leonard answer, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that you have absolutely no qualms with Şengün against the Wiz.
Sure don't. It would be very strange if I didn't. Got on the old 9.5 rebound train. That is looking pretty good considering Julian Reese is playing center next to that idiot for the, I don't know, even with 28 minutes we're going to get for Şengün. Could also be a Terry Easton just rips it away because Şengün doesn't give a shit. But yeah, this is going to be the most ridiculous next 25 minutes of having that game on. Very much more looking forward to Greg making his return to Live After Lock than I am for this basketball game.
Our friend North Star let us know that Keontae George or Garland are his guys on FanDuel tonight. Keontae George of the 8% boom rate, DeAndre Garland of the 5.6% boom rate. I'm going to talk some shit here, so you're lucky, North Star. Congratulations. One of those two guys is going to end up being really great because those plays are terrible.
I will say this. We talked about Jokic over and over and over and over again. I got 65% of him. So, like,
there it is.
The most marriaged holding hands with the field thing of all time. Still got 35% of Julian Reese for what it's worth. So that's just is what it is.
Tell the people where to find you, brother. Let's talk some tails. Let the people know what you got going on over there.
You do not talk about tails if you're you. But otherwise you should definitely talk about tails. Well, my mom joke. It was the mom.
Gotcha. I was like, dude, this is really me setting you up to talk tails here. I don't think I did that wrong.
Now the whole bit's ruined. It's okay. I was trying to lean into it and trying to be a good co-host, but it's fine. Just make fun of me. I'll take it. Over on Tails, posting a bunch of free stuff. We cashed some baseball. We've now fired up a couple of underdog pick'em cards to start off the MLB spring training. Been doing a live stream every single day for the last, 5-6 days that I've fired that one up over on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. You can check that out, usually starting that around 2-3 p.m. Eastern time. So you can tune in for that. Putting a bunch more free pick'em stuff out there for the people as we are getting closer to the MLB season here and going through some of the dog days of NBA. But NBA has still been very fruitful, including from our guy, Greg Ehrenberg, who's posted a bunch of these single game parlays himself. Been doing that more in the pick'em realm for the people. But posting tons of that and Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks night before over on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel.
Ooh, Duke Carolina State today?
Yep.
Is that today?
Yep.
Fun.
With that and Iowa State, Arizona. I got a big day for my teams.
Go Dukies. Go Dukies.
Yeah, buddy. That's where you, me, we can simpatico on that one.
I should go out to the bar and just have everybody bitch at me if I wear a Duke shirt because it would be a large swath of NC State fans in comparison to Duke support out in public.
You don't see a lot of Duke support out in public unless you are in Durham. Like when you go around North Carolina, it is baby blue almost everywhere.
Or red. Like when I first moved here, I thought the split in my mind was going to be like a pretty neutral 50-50 of like people bitching during games. And I came to find out that it was like 45-10. But NC State was so much more prevalent than I could have ever imagined until I started thinking about like why that's the case. But it's UNC and State are dominant in fandom in my experiences.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. And then Wake Forest, the 0.01% of them that are all tobacco farmers. So that's always fun.
Yeah, you get your rando other schools here from time to time. Obviously, I ride hard for UNCW.
Asheville was good times back in the day with that 7-8 dude. Asheville had their moment in the sun. That was good times.
They sure did. But now there's a new moment in the sun. And it's a moment you guys have not experienced in a bit. Let's bring Greg Ehrenberg into the sun. What's going on, brother? Welcome back.
You know, top of my head, I only know 2 Kings of Leon songs. And the other one is Use Somebody, which is what I thought you were going to go with, which would have been the exact same joke.
Great. Great. Missed you, Greg.
Yeah.
So good to see you, Greg. This is great, Greg.
Who's this guy? Is
Maybe
the
use
Wizards' new
someone
starting
as
center?
your song for her. You could have that song with her. I'll use Sex on Fire because she gave me chlamydia.
Let's see. What are some of the other? I'm looking up names of Kings of Leon songs. You got Knocked Up. Okay.
Never heard of
I think I'm going to be late to the party on that one.
Oh, Super Soaker.
Is that real? Because if I had known that, holy shit.
I swear to you. Look up Kings of Leon songs.
I found another one that is also probably relevant here. 100,000 people.
Oh.
Oh my God. Goodbye.
The Bonnie Blue of the 1960s, and he just leaves.
That went well. I'm really happy about everything that just came out of our mouths, Greg. Good work. Proud of us.
Let's see. We could cut it off there. I was going to look up for more of them, but why need
I don't
to?
see any else. I don't see any others that like immediately jump out.
I'm sure there's some if we looked hard, if we looked hard enough. But it is time for the post-lock show. First time that I've been doing the post-lock show in a week here. I was out last week. Thank you for everybody who sent me a nice message over on Twitter. That was very much appreciated. But now it's time to get back to grinding some of the NBA, and who knows what the hell we're going to get out of the Boston Celtics starting lineup, because we've already seen Julian Reese starting for the Wizards today. So we should be getting, I would think, sometime in the next 10, 15 minutes, the starting lineup for the Boston Celtics. And no Jaylen Brown today. It could kind of be, well, not exactly anything, no Kata either. I think we feel pretty good that Vooch is going to start at center. But you look at what we have for the projected starting lineup here for Boston. In our projections, we went with Derek White, Sam Hauser, Ron Harper, Shireman, and Vooch. But that's not set in stone. I don't think they'll put Pritchard back in the starting lineup, but it's possible. There's nothing that says they have to start guys like Ron Harper today. So this is going to be interesting. We'll see what ends up happening with their starting lineup. In the interim, we'll build out some same game parlays. I already posted one over to Twitter. I did a blowout angle for the Utah Jazz Denver Nuggets game. I think that is a game that is very live to be lopsided. There's a very good chance that we end up seeing the Boston Celtics, or sorry, I should say the Denver Nuggets beat the Utah Jazz by 1 billion points in that game, because that's kind of almost what the Utah Jazz want to happen in all of their games. So I did post that over to Twitter, but let's start building out some more same game parlays while we wait for the Boston Celtics starting lineup to come out. And then, of course, when the Boston starting lineup comes out, we'll go back and look at projections, and we'll see if there's anything we have to end up altering with our lineups here. Interesting, by the way, we got some ownership here from Jake DeWitt saying Reese is 33% in the $18, 30% in the $4.20 max. Yeah, it stands to reason that the higher dollar contests, Reese was going to be more popular today. What did I end up with on Reese? I have Reese in... I played 54% of Julian Reese today. I don't know what you guys ended up doing, but yeah, I went pretty heavy on him. You get a guy, we don't have that much data on him. We had him projected for 17.5 fantasy points at 3K, but we only have him for 21.5 minutes. Who knows? Maybe Julian Reese goes out and plays 26 minutes. It's very possible. But yeah, Julian Reese is somebody I really want to end up prioritizing once we saw that weird starting lineup. And let's see if there was any other questions or anything that came in. We do. We've got Ben P saying UNC over the Dukies. Also, his 59-month free question there. So shout out to somebody who's been here for a while. Ben P, 59 months. That is about, nearly 5 years. Nearly 5 years of Ben P here on the YouTube channel. See if there's any questions in Discord. If not, we'll start building out some of our same game parlays. There's a boost available on DraftKings tonight. There's a boost available on FanDuel. And I think for both of them, we have to, by the way, DraftKings has started to do, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but 2 same game parlay boosts. They've been doing a 3-leg same game parlay and a 4-leg one. So we also have A little bit more flexibility where it used to just be the 4-leg same game parlays. Oh, shout out to Malakar. Malakar said that he has a 59 month. Yeah. Who's been here the longest of all of you guys? Who's got the longest standing membership? Peanut butter. We never run a late swap opto. Can we do so tonight? What do you mean by a late swap? Like, so there's no way to just do an optimal late swap lineup because everybody has different players that are locked in. So there's not going to be like one optimal lineup to late swap to, because it depends who you've played from the early games. Like if I played Julian Reese and somebody else didn't, because that game's already locked, then we're going to have like a different optimal lineup. Ben P saying you joined the first week we created it. Okay. All right. Yeah, this would probably be the Malakar saying Chris. Yeah, that Chris Williams probably be the safe bet. Although with that said, if Ben did it in the first week, then it's not possibly to be that much longer. Anthony Davis says he did a 67-month super chat though. All right. So who knows? Who knows? Check one more time. Yeah, no questions in Discord. Let's go ahead and start looking at some of the prop projections. And yes, we have to make a 3-leg same game parlay for FanDuel as well as DraftKings. And then also on the agenda is going to be waiting for that Boston Celtics starting lineup. So let's start on the FanDuel side of things. And for FanDuel, we have available to us a 25% profit boost with a 3-leg same game parlay. So we have to find a game that we like 3 legs from. And I'm going to try to look at one of the later games just because the Boston-Milwaukee game, it's going to be locking in 23 minutes. And if the starting lineup is something weird, that could certainly alter what some of the projections look like. So let's focus on either the Denver or the Utah game. And once again, I've already posted one same game parlay for the Denver-Utah game. We have some unders that project well for that game. And I think it makes sense to pair those with the Denver spread and just hope for a blowout where the starters don't play the fourth quarter. Let's see. What looks good here? Still even on FanDuel, a lot of the unders here. We've got the Jokic for under 10.5 assists, the Murray under 6.5 assists. These were some of the ones that I played also in the blowout same game parlay. So I don't want to build one out that I've already built. But kind of interesting to see if those still are projecting pretty well right towards the top of the board. I'm going to make a little change here because we have the recent projection update. I'm just going to move this to 80-20 in favor of the stochastic projection since the data team is on top of it, updating projections at this time of the day. Let's see what we can get for the Clippers and Warriors game. And the lines come down a little bit here. I've really liked, if you guys watched the video that I did earlier in the day, we've gotten a lot of line value on Darius Garland. Earlier in the day, his assist prop was 5.5. Seemed like a super high number to me on Darius Garland when you consider that this is his first game in a month and a half and his first game with the Clippers. Like, sure, he could have an outlier game where he just goes crazy with counting stats, but 5.5 seemed like a really high assist prop for me for a guy who's probably not going to play too much more than like 20 to 22 minutes or something like that. So still viable at 4.5. Don't like it quite as much as the 5.5, but still certainly makes some sense there. You've got Guy Santos also for over 5.5 rebounds as a top bet here. I could definitely get behind that. So if you look at the Golden State Warriors and their situation here, Gary Payton is questionable. Seth Curry's out. Steph Curry's out. Will Richards out. Kristaps Porzingis is out. So you have a scenario here where Santos is already benefiting from the absence of Kristaps Porzingis, and then maybe a minute or two extra could go to him if Gary Payton ends up getting ruled out. So let's plug in these 2 top EV options. By the way, also, this just correlates well. We could go with this other Guy Santos prop as well. So there's a couple of different, 3 props actually that project well for Guy Santos. Over 5.5 rebounds, over 2.5 assists, and then it makes sense if the other ones project well, also over 8.5 rebounds plus assists. But since we have to build out a 3-leg same game parlay for FanDuel here, I want to play these individually. We'll go the 2 Guy Santos props, kind of laid out the reason why. Extra minutes with no Kristaps Porzingis. Also could see a little bit of an additional boost if Gary Payton gets ruled out in our projections. And then the Darius Garland leg. So these are the 3 top projected ones. Every once in a while, I'll try to make some adjustments. But for something like this, where these all project really well, and I think the logic makes sense for all of them, I am just going to lock it in. So we've got under 4.5 assists for Darius Garland at plus money, over 5.5 rebounds for Guy Santos. That's also plus money. And then the 2.5 assist line, that one not plus money. But what does it come out to with the boost? We get to, and actually there's a slightly better line available for Guy Santos. You actually get a plus 112 on FanDuel. So with the boost, it comes out to plus 651. And I'll post this to Tails right now as well. I see we got the starting lineup for the Milwaukee Bucks. And we've got here Kevin Porter, AJ Green, Ousmane Dieng, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Miles Turner. Let's see. How does that align with what we had projected? What do we have as the projected starting lineup for Milwaukee? I don't think I had very much Milwaukee exposure. So, yeah, different than what we had projected. So we had Ryan Rollins starting. And it is, so it's Dieng starting instead of him. So it's a 1v1 swap. We have Ousmane Dieng in the starting lineup at $3,400. And then Ryan Rollins moves back to the bench at $7,700. By the way, unders on Ryan Rollins look pretty good now that he's moving to a bench role. He also looks terrible for DFS purposes coming off the bench. Let's see, did I have exposure to Ryan Rollins? I did not. Did I have any Milwaukee exposure? Maybe it's not going to be all that important to late swap based on this. If I don't know what you guys have. I have not a single, 150 lineups I played today, not a single share of a single Milwaukee player. Which, I mean, makes sense from a standpoint of Giannis is back, but he's going to be playing limited minutes where we don't want to roster him, but everybody else is expensive because of Giannis being out. Maybe Ousmane Dieng ends up projecting okay for us, but he's not the best fantasy producer, 0.76. So let's see. If we get Ousmane Dieng projected for like 26 minutes, that would get him to close to 20 fantasy points. I don't think he plays quite that much. We'll see what our minutes projection looks like on Dieng. He could be a value option now. We'll see when the projections update. We've got Damien wants to know, am I getting to the Clippers? Let's see. What do I have of the Clippers? So obviously not as extreme of a circumstance as what we have with the Bucks. But Darius Garland coming back is going to hurt the peripheral players for the Clippers. But, I mean, Kawhi, I think, is a great pay-up option. I've got Kawhi in nearly 40% of lineups. Nobody else, though, that matters, I don't think. Kawhi's a really strong option, though. Salvador says, Greg looks like Ben Simmons, less hair on the top. Yeah, a little bit less Australian, a little bit better of a jump shot. Other than that, no difference between us. Same wingspan, same defensive capabilities. I can just shoot and make some threes. Ryan Rennebaum says on and off member since 2019. Says can't be that on and off. Says member for 24 months. Oh, I don't know if it resets or anything like that. But at least for now, it says 24 months. And do we get that starting lineup for Boston now as well? We do. We've got the Boston starting lineup. Derek White, Hugo Gonzalez, Baylor Shireman, Sam Hauser, Nikola Vucevic. So let's see what we end up getting for projections updates. They should be coming through here in a minute. Oh, there we go. I was going to say in a minute, and they're already here. So ownership isn't updated quite yet. Usually ownership is like 2 minutes behind. But let's see what we have here for... Actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to post the same game parlay that I just built out to Tails. And then probably by the time I come back here and refresh, we should have the ownership update, and then we can go over the updated ownership. But I'll get the FanDuel SGP up to Tails. Let's see. I'll give you guys the top FanDuel projections right now while we wait for the ownership. And I'll check to see if there's any questions that came through in Discord as well. And we do. DK801 wants to know, he has $3,500 for a forward, DK single entry. Do I prefer Dieng, Hugo Gonzalez, or Ron Harper? Give me a second, and then I'm going to check our updated projections after I get this bet posted to Tails. And then we will see who actually ends up projecting the best. And is ownership updated? Not quite yet. Probably in about a minute. And all right, this is going through to tails. So if you guys want to go over to tails, this will be easy to go ahead and just tail it with one click over there. One thing also, if you guys want to try out our NFL, or not our NFL, I should say, our NHL and NBA props, we now have a bundle available. And today's your last day to take advantage of it. 50% off the all access package to our NBA and NHL props tool with the promo code bundle. So the NHL props tool, I have had a lot of fun using it. I've won a couple of SGPs. I've also had a couple of real long shot ones where I bet, some like combos of goal scorer props that have come really close to winning. But already I've hit on like a 9-1 NHL parlay and I think a 7-1 NHL parlay in just the first few days that I've used the NHL stochastic props tool. So I'm using the NHL and NBA ones going forward. And if you guys want to use it, last chance, take advantage. Promo code bundle, 50% off the NBA and NHL all access props package. All right, let's see what we have here for projections. We have ownership is updated. All right, let's look at Boston first. What do we have for Boston? And this will also help us answer DK's question from chat. So once again, DK's question was Jang, Hugo Gonzalez, or Ron Harper? All right, so first things first, what do we have for the top projected players here now? So we've got Derek Whiten for 43 fantasy points, Pritchard for 38. Yeah, they look great before. They still look really solid. Vooch, one of our top under-owned players. And as far as our boom bust data goes, Vooch, 38% optimal, 26% ownership, $6,200. Kata's resting today. We don't even have a crazy minutes projection on Vooch. Under 30 minutes. He's live to play like 32, 33 minutes today. If that's the case, he could put up 40 fantasy points for a small slate, not all that crazy of ownership. We've got Shireman projected for 22.92 fantasy points. Hugo Gonzalez just doesn't project all that well. 17 fantasy points. He's a poor fantasy producer. We don't have him in for all that many minutes. And then let's see what we ended up doing with the Milwaukee guys. Okay. For Milwaukee now, we ended up having Ousmane Dieng projected for 17.85. So not great, but marginally better than Hugo Gonzalez. And the question was Dieng, Hugo Gonzalez, or Harper. I forgot to look at Harper. I can't imagine Harper projects well for us now that he's coming off the bench. Let's see. Harper. Yeah, we've got Harper for 14 fantasy points. So DK, of those three guys, I'm going to go with Ousmane Dieng as the one that I want to be rostering. And yeah, he's somebody who I was not considering at all before. And now I think he's a viable value option. So I'm going to start running some late swaps here. And then after those late swaps conclude, I'll let you guys know what it is that I ended up getting to on the low end of these guys. What did I have of Ron Harper before this? I think I had a chunk of him. I had Harper underweight to the field relative to ownership projection, but I had 36% of Ron Harper, and he was projected for 42% ownership. Harper's a great guy to get off of. He was expected to be chalky, and he's still probably going to be fairly popular. So it's not this on a points per dollar sense. Ron Harper is still playable, but he's going to be way overowned. There are not going to be enough people that make a swap for this scenario. Still playable, but not a good option. I'm going to have a minimal amount of him is my my best estimation on Ron Harper. Oh, by the way, we just did another projections update. So I'll pull this up on screen again. But yeah, we've got one here from 717. And just to show you guys the Ron Harper projection, 14.66 fantasy points at $3,200. That's all right. But I wouldn't, what's our ownership projection on him? Our ownership projection on him dropped to 10%, but people don't usually react to this news as much as they should. I wouldn't be surprised if Harper is still like 20 to 30% owned. That's very live to still happen. So I'm hoping that when I run everything through the late swap right now, then I'm going to get significantly less of him. Also, viable question from Caleb. He wants to know, does this make Jokic look worse? So from a standpoint of it's harder to get to him, yes. It doesn't make Jokic project worse. But what ends up happening here now is we lost the guy in Ron Harper, who was a really good value op, but didn't lose him, but he doesn't look quite as good. If I'm going to be getting less exposure to Ron Harper now, it stands to reason I'm going to get to quite a bit less of Nikola Jokic as well. So indirectly, yes, I think it makes Jokic look worse. Yeah, because Jokic, we still have Jokic projected for 51% ownership, 65% optimal rate. So he's the best spend up option on the slate if you could get to him. It's just harder to get to him now. So I'm interested to see what this does to my exposures. I would think he comes down. Maybe not, though. I'll find out in a minute. Andrew Black, am I interested in Kevin Porter Jr.? No. Giannis is back. Humble Parker, who are the options to swap to? Ousmane Dieng. I mean, I don't know who you're looking to swap off of, presumably Ron Harper, but if you could make the couple $100 to get to Ousmane Dieng, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be starting. North Star, huge edge there if they don't trade Giannis. They're not going to trade him this season. Trade deadline's already passed. And yeah, Dieng is more than Harper. If you have the adequate salary to get to him, then I'd rather play Dieng than Harper. But yeah, I don't know if you have the salary to get there. If you can, though, do it. Reset 0 points, guys, saying. How deep are we into the game? Keep in mind, if you get like 20 points out of Reese at his salary, you're feeling okay about it. But yeah, I never get too concerned with what guys are doing in the first quarter. How many times have we been doing either the post-lock show or the playback show back in the day where we're, 6 minutes into the first quarter, player X has broken the slate, player Y has ruined my lineup, and then by the end of the night, player Y is in the winning lineup, and player X just didn't really score fantasy points past the first quarter. Never panic. Or sometimes do if you think it's fun. Like Eric enjoys panicking. It's one of his hobbies. He likes freaking out. He likes having a bad time. If you like that, go for it. All right. I'm kicking off the late swap now. See what changes for myself here. Yeah. Double minor is panicking. Yeah. Prince saying that Reese will get blowout run. Also possible. Very, very possible. All right. Reese sitting, at a cool 0 fantasy points. By the way, it would be very funny if the game's a blowout and Reese just doesn't get garbage time. Like, why would he not play garbage time? I've got the late swap running. All right. We also got a question from Discord. This one is from Beezy New Ass. He wants to know for a 2v2 question, Shireman and Santos or Pritchard and Dieng? Pritchard and Dieng for me. All right. What swaps for me? All right. I'm going to have to do another late swap here because I still have 14% of Ron Harper. That's more of him that I want to play. So I should have time to run at least one more late swap, maybe 2. But yeah, that's more of Ron Harper than I would ideally want to have. I'm also curious to see, like you guys were asking, what my Jokic exposure ends up being in light of the Ron Harper falling out of favor a little bit in projections. Hey, Reese is on the board. He has a rebound. 1.25 fantasy points. How about that for all the people who are panicking about a 0? He's got a whole rebound now. All right, let's see. Jokic. I have Yeah, my Jokic exposure came down a good amount. I only have 29% of Jokic as a result of this now. I'm going to do one more late swap. Yeah, I'll be able to get one more in here, and that'll probably be my final run. And then we'll build out the DraftKings same game parlay, and then we'll call it a night. Just a small slate here, 4 games. How about for you guys? What did you guys end up getting to less of Jokic and presumably less of Harper too? I still want to have less of Harper than what I have. Look at that. Yeah, Eric, Julian Reese, a block and a rebound. Repent. North Star had 100% Jokic. All right. All right, here. This is going to be my final run of the swaps. I finished with 18% of Harper and 32% of Jokic. Those are my final numbers here. All right. See what else changed, if anything of note. I have 47% of Vooch, by the way, guys. That's the number I have on Vucevic. And I'm uploading this. So yeah, we're good to go. Yeah, just under 50% for me on Vooch. As far as Jang, I ended up with just 10% of Jang for me. I thought I was going to end up being a little bit higher on him, but I guess him only being small forward eligible, that took him down a little bit. Reese heating up. Let's see. I'll do one more Zachary Reese heat check. Yeah, look at this. 2 rebounds and a block. Never a doubt. Never a doubt. Rockets actually struggling to score on the Wizards, believe it or not. Only 15 points with 4 minutes left in the quarter. The Wizards also haven't gone to the bench yet. The starters haven't come out of the game yet. The Carrington, Johnson, Reese, George, Coulibaly. So people are talking about like Will Riley. I mean, he hasn't come into the game yet, which, by the way, doesn't bode well for Riley's fantasy output in this game. Hasn't checked in yet. Has not checked in yet. See if there was any other questions. All right, yeah, Sean Marshall. All right, guys, loading up on Jang. Django Unchained, 100% Jang. Oh, they took his block away. What is that? Did they really? Let's see. Yeah, they did. All right, back to 2.5 fantasy points for him. Back to 2.5. All right, let's build out a DraftKings same game parlay. If any other news breaks while we're here, we'll certainly react to it. But for now, we'll build out the 3-leg DraftKings SGP and see what we can we can see what we build that looks appealing. Yeah, Kyle, I feel worse about Şengün now than Reese. Yeah, I agree with that. Şengün is 4 points and 2 turnovers. He got 3 fantasy points out of Şengün. And then obviously also he's way more expensive. Yeah, it's just been a dog shit fantasy game right now. Dog shit fantasy game. All right. So I've already built out a DraftKings SGP for the Denver-Utah game. Yeah, I think if I was to build out another one, it would be almost the same. For what it's worth, what I had posted before, it was the under on Jokic's rebounds, under on Jokic's assists. I also took the under on Jamal Murray's assist, and then I paired it with Denver minus 11.5. And then you just cross your fingers and you hope Denver wins by 40 points and the starters come out midway through the third quarter and don't check back into the game. Namino. I lost Jokic about 10% on the run and then again gained 5%. Yeah, I mean, every sim run isn't going to be exactly the same. It's, fairly normal, but it's not, like massively different either. Riley checking in. Yeah, makes sense. About time for Washington to go to the bench here. All right, let's see. What can we build for the Clippers Golden State game? Here's what kind of sucks about a 4-game slate. I've already built out a Denver Utah SGP, posted it online, told you guys about it. And then we already built out the FanDuel one for Clippers Golden State. And then you pull up the projections here, and it's like kind of a similar looking angle for the DraftKings projections as it was for the FanDuel one. Let's see, is there anything else that projects well for Denver, Utah that we could look at compared to what I already have? There's not really any. I mean, I guess if we're just looking for individual bets, Kyle Filipowski projected for just 1-3. The line's 1.5. It is juiced towards the under, but it projects pretty well. Filipowski also has not been playing garbage time in some of these recent Utah games. So I do think it's a good individual standalone bet, but it's just hard for me to build an SGP around this game when all of the top projected bets are ones that I've already used. And the other thing too is DraftKings doesn't really let you rebet lines that you've already built out. So for myself, I couldn't even build another SGP around some of those lines I already did. So maybe we'll double dip on some of the Guy Santos lines and use them again for DraftKings because I haven't played them over on DK yet today. What else projects well? We do have Pat Spencer for under 4.5 assists projecting decently. Pat Spencer's recent workload for Golden State. Although I don't want to take here's the problem. If Gary Payton gets ruled out, do we have Payton projected in or out right now? Let me see. In our projections, what do we do with Gary Payton? We've got Gary Payton in right now. Yeah, so that's the problem. If Gary Payton gets ruled out, then that Pat Spencer under doesn't look good anymore. And then I don't like it. So I don't want to touch the Pat Spencer under. We've got the Guy Santos over, which we've already played. We've got the other Guy Santos over, which we already played. Might have to double dip, though. It's Darius Garland under. We also played that in the other SGP. What are some of the other lines that have good projections that we have not played yet? So you got, okay, this one makes sense to me. We've got Derek Jones Jr. under 1.5 assists. How much playmaking is going to be needed from Derek Jones Jr. now that Darius Garland is in the mix? Probably not all that much. I know it's a low line at 1.5 assists, but we haven't projected for 1.3. It's not exactly a dynamic playmaker, Derek Jones Jr. Here's another one that makes sense as well. Draymond Green over 13.5 points plus rebounds. He's had to take on a bigger role for Golden State, considering all of the guys who are out for them. And then also you've got no Kristaps Porzingis either. So let's go with the Draymond over 13.5 points plus rebounds. What's Draymond's usage been in some of these recent games? Let's see, recent usage for Draymond Green. It's been marginally up. For the season, he has a 16% usage rate. Over the last month, it's at 18% with guys out. All right. So we've got Derek Jones Jr. under 1.5 assists that we could play. We could go Draymond Green over 13.5 points plus rebounds. And then I guess we'll add in the Guy Santos over 2.5 assists to round it out. What does that come to? Let's see. And this one will just be between us. I won't post this one to Tails. I've already posted a couple of SGPs to Tails today. And some of them I like to keep just to you guys who hang out with me here. All right, so with the boost, Derek Jones Jr. under 1.5 assists. Is that still available? It is. Guy Santos over 2.5 assists. That is still available. And then we've got the Draymond Green over 13.5 points plus rebounds. Is that still available? Minus, yes, it is. Okay, it comes out to plus 501. All right. Plus 501. Derek Jones Jr. under 1.5 assists. Draymond Green over 13.5 points plus rebounds. Guy Santos over 2.5 assists. I dig it. I dig it. See if there's any other questions from you guys. If not, if you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And don't forget, if you want to get yourself the NBA and the NHL props tool, we've been building SGPs for a couple of weeks here using the NBA stochastic props tool. Now we've got the NHL on into the mix. We have an all-access package for our props tools, 50% off with the promo code bundle, and today is the last day for that promo. So at midnight tonight, that deal expires, and it will not be available anymore. So if you want to take advantage of it, go ahead and do it now. All right, let's see. Any other further questions? Checking Discord, checking the YouTube. All right, nothing else. So guys, that is going to do it for me today. Missed you guys in doing this show a lot. Happy to be back. And I think we got more of a full slate tomorrow, don't we? Bigger slate tomorrow. We've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games tomorrow. 10 games to look at for tomorrow, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. Good luck with all your lineups. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace out, guys. Good luck with your lineups. And my computer just froze. Oh, no, it didn't. We're back. Later, guys.